Video footage was released from a Delaware man's Ring Doorbell showing two ATF agents and one Delaware State Police trooper questioning a homeowner about recent firearms purchases. The footage, accompanied by an article at ammoland.com, explained that the homeowner, in hindsight, felt that his privacy had been invaded and that he felt coerced into cooperation with the officers. The officers explained that they were part of a task force investigating potential straw purchases, which occurs when someone buys a firearm on behalf of another person who is otherwise unable to purchase a firearm directly. They had records in hand showing that the homeowner's recent purchases, what they were. They said that they wanted to verify that this man still had these firearms. Here's a portion of the relevant footage, and then we'll go into the law.
All I'm doing is verify that you have it. You got two different purchases. Okay. If you have them, I'm out of here. That's how quick it is. Yeah. You have them with you by any chance? Are they? If you can unload them and bring them out, or you can go out to your foyer here, check them out, by serial number, and we're out of here.
That's it?
Yep.
That's it. It'll take 5 seconds.
The reason we're out here is we're obviously gun violence has been an uptick, so we want to make sure we've been having a lot of issues with straw purchases. So one of the things indicators that we get is somebody makes like a large gun purchase, and then a lot of times we've been there like, oh, those guns got taken. We're like,
so the idea is when you purchase more than 2 guns at a time, it generates a multiple sale report. And it comes to us and we have to check them out. Okay. That's all that is. You did nothing wrong. Did absolutely zero. I noticed that you were stopped in Philly though, right? With one of your guns?
So it's clear that the officers had no warrant. But what did they need, if anything, as far as criminal suspicion goes? The Delaware State Trooper, who by the way is part of an organization that has close to zero respect for the Second Amendment, and which already has been caught maintaining secret lists of gun owners, had this to say about the reason they were there that day. The reason we're out here is obviously gun violence is at an uptick. We want to make sure. We've been having a lot of issues with straw purchases. One of the indicators we get is someone making a large gun purchase. And then a lot of times we've been there, oh, those guns got taken. One of the ATF agents on the scene had this to say about why they were there. Well, it just came up. We came here. Look, I'm telling you. There's an email from the federal side saying that, can you make sure this guy's got his guns? If you recently purchased a whole bunch of guns, if we can look at them and just scratch them off. Therefore, it appears to be the case that there is no particularized information pertaining to this homeowner, indicating that he may have committed some crime or even that any crime had been committed in the first place. Basically, he purchased multiple firearms, and theoretically, anyone who purchases multiple firearms could potentially have purchased them as straw conveyances for third parties. Since this is not particular or particularized to this homeowner, it could not form the basis of either reasonable suspicion or probable cause. However, since this man is in his own home, neither reasonable suspicion nor probable cause is all that relevant. The officers have 2 options. One, they can obtain a search warrant, which would require a finding of probable cause approved by a judge in advance, in which case they would need to have particularized facts about this homeowner. Or they can do what cops call a knock and talk, which is what appears to have happened here. The legal theory is this. So-called consensual encounters don't implicate the Fourth Amendment in the first place. Basically, it's a conversation with the consent of an individual. There's no detainment. Cops are free to talk to someone who's willing to talk to them just like anyone else can. Because doing so doesn't trigger Fourth Amendment protections, no reasonable suspicion is required, much less probable cause. That's what the officers were attempting to do here. They clearly had no reasonable suspicion, assuming they weren't lying, which is an entirely different video, entirely different legal issue we'll get into a different time. Here, the homeowner says that he felt coerced, in hindsight at least. So here's the legal issue. Would a reasonable regular person believe that he was not free to terminate this encounter? A person is seized within the meaning of the Fourth Amendment only when the officer, by means of physical force or show of authority, has in some way restrained the liberty of a citizen. That's from Terry versus Ohio. Such a seizure can be said to occur when, after considering the totality of the circumstances, a court concludes that a reasonable person would have believed that he was not free to leave. Or in the context of a person being at a location they didn't want to leave, such as their front porch, the appropriate question would be whether that person would feel free to terminate the encounter. Florida versus Bostic, 1991 is the Supreme Court case on that. So there could be a number of relevant factors that could determine these questions, such as the number of police officers present, their appearance, their actions, their demeanor, such as whether they were acting in a threatening manner, or whether they acted as though they suspected this guy of criminal activity rather than treating the encounter as, quote, routine in nature. Here, there were multiple officers. They appeared to make an express attempt to act like they were non-threatening in demeanor and that they were just engaged in a routine investigation. You know, it's almost like they teach these things at their FBI academy or police academy, whatever the case may be. But on the other hand, there were 3 of them, and they were sort of positioned in a way that could be argued as threatening. I mean, it's not like they were all at the door. They were sort of spaced out as if maybe they were dealing with a suspected criminal as opposed to a law-abiding citizen in a nice neighborhood. There was some tactical gear on display. They were obviously armed. Of course, we'd know for sure had the homeowner actually attempted to terminate the encounter. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe. I'll see you on the next video.